Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. The outright fraud surrounding FTX and FTX US and Alameda and everything associated with them is not going to stop the long-term adoption of XRP. I'd like to share with you as almost exclusively positive outlook on what is happening, but it's not fantasyland positivity. It's grounded in reality. In fact, I'm going to share with you perspective from a former Goldman Sachs executive who happens to be very pro XRP. And he says that, frankly, what happened here has happened in legacy finance as well before. And yes, it's terrible and it causes distress for all sorts of people and businesses, but markets do rebound. And so, there may very well be a contagion in the space. In fact, I'm anticipating that's what's more likely at this point. So maybe we do see lower prices as major entities drop. It'll spook markets. People will panic sell, all that jazz. But there's going to be a bottom at some point if we haven't already had it. And things will get better. And this absolutely is not going to stop XRP. There's real utility to be had with XRP. If you're listening to this channel, you probably recognize that. And none of what's happening here changes utility, broadly speaking, in the cryptocurrency space. So even if people panic sell to whatever degree and it pushes the price of any crypto, including XRP, down in the short term, well, there are others out there that are going to recognize, wow, these are just people panic selling, and this is actually something that's useful that should not be discarded. And so people bet against each other. That's just the nature of markets. But I think things are going to get a whole lot better. It just, like, I understand some people don't want to hear, some people don't even want to hear positive news when this bad stuff happens. But I'll just say it. I firmly believe at some point in the future, XRP is going to hit a new all-time high in enterprise discovery. I don't pretend to know when. This stuff's slowing it down, but fine. Now, some people are predicting that with what happened, with the gravity situation, institutional investors getting harmed, that this would lead to setting back the entire asset class 5 years. I think those types of statements are overblown. Yeah, it's a setback, and to what degree, I don't know. And there will be some participants that maybe won't come back for years, if ever. Fine, but my gosh, I'll just say this: as bad actors continue to get flushed out, it's the stronger ones that survive, and the industry is just going to come back bigger and better. And at some point, for those of us that are sticking around, and there'll be new people coming in too, more money does ultimately get thrown in, and eventually more people notice that, oh, the crypto thing's still there, and it's growing, and how about that? And it looks like we're cleaning stuff up. It's going to go in that direction. I feel very strongly about that. But before sharing additional thoughts and information on this, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, I made some larger purchases, which I discussed on my channel recently. That was before the Moon Lambo channel became the Moon Family Sedan channel. Womp womp. But I've since paused. I'm going to wait to see if markets do tank a bit lower, and if they don't, and this was the low and I already got my extra bit, okay, fine. And then I could look back in hindsight if I wanted to beat myself and be like, I wish I spent more, which I wouldn't do though, because that's childish, because I don't know for sure what's going to happen. But at this point, I think it's probably reasonable to suppose that we might see some more bumps along the way. We already saw BlockFi. Looks like they're in some serious trouble. Who knows what the contagion's going to do to the rest of all the entities, that are caught up in this. If nothing else happens, okay, fine. I'd be surprised then, admittedly. I think something's going to happen. And when the prices crater lower, should they anyway, I'm going to be ready to pounce. I got a boatload of cash on the sideline ready to deploy, but I'm going to wait. Doesn't mean I want people to get harmed. Of course I don't want people to get harmed, but this is what has happened. I'm just reacting to the bad crap that's happening. That's it. It's okay to recognize an opportunity. And if people want to continue to sell, they're betting against me. They think I'm wrong. They think they're right. And okay, fine. We can just both make our choices as adults. So that's perfectly fine. But look at this. From chart analyst Leb Crypto, capitulation weakened? Possible if Bitcoin can't hold $16,300 today. Looking more likely by the minute. I think it'll happen soon this weekend and happen fast. Now, as we're recording this, Bitcoin is at $16,848. So we'll be watching. I don't know if it's going to. If it's going to move lower, I think what's most probable is if it's going to move lower, it will be a result of some more scary news coming out. And I'm going to continue monitoring price action even more than I normally do. I don't just check it like once a day, I talk about it in my channel, whatever this and that, just kind of glance at it. I'm paying a lot more close attention right now because should there be a move to the downside, I want to be ready to pounce. Because I believe it's going to be worth way, way, way more in the future. So this as much as it's not like fun to say I'm worth less on paper, my net worth is way down as a result of this, but I don't really care. I don't think it's staying there. I think that we recover. It'll be fine. I'm optimistic. But look at all these firms. You know, see why I'm saying what I'm saying? For those of you that can look at your screen, take a look at this. This is from the Block, mind you. This is from the Block's research arm. Alameda Research and FTX Ventures portfolios. This is like such a huge chunk of all that is crypto. And they have their hands on it. Now, to what degree and what the specifics are, well, everybody's still figuring that out. I don't know how this is going to shake out, but don't be surprised if some of the firms on the screen here have very negative exposure and things get even worse. I don't know. We'll see. But just if you're looking at this, even though people are still trying to figure everything out, there's a lot of moving parts. Very dynamic situation here. Can you imagine after what happened with, the fall being bigger than what happened with Celsius and Three Arrows Capital and Luna? With this being bigger than that, doesn't it seem probable that we'd see more fallouts within the next several weeks, even if they're not imminent? Because mind you, like when we saw the Luna collapse in the first part of May this year, we still saw stories of utter destruction for like the next 2 months or so. So sometimes it takes a long while for this stuff to shake out. So that's why I'm keeping a lot of my capital. It's available. It's on the sidelines, but I'm going to wait because I think that it's reasonable to suppose that more negative action to the downside shall occur. And including this, like there's real world harm here. So like take a look at this tweet from somebody named Gur Gavin, was sharing terrible news that a Canadian teacher's pension fund had invested $95 million. So they're $95 million in the hole. And you can pause to read the report. Like this is a real thing. They put this out 2 days ago announcing this. $95 million for a teacher's pension fund. That is awful. We can all look at this with disgust, but it's not going to change how I respond. Like the disgusting part already happened. If things continue to fall apart and prices go lower and people are betting effectively against me and bringing my net worth down, I think they're wrong. And I'm going to step in and I'm going to put my capital down. And I'm going to buy a bunch of crypto. That's it. I'm not happy this stuff is happening. It's repulsive what Sam Bankman-Fried has done. And it is what it is. I'm glad he's out of the space at least. Now, take a look at this from Raoul Pal, though. Again, former Goldman Sachs exec. Very pro XRP. He holds a bag of XRP. He thinks that, more likely than not, we're going to see a positive outcome in the SEC v. Ripple case. He thinks that's something that's going to just be a major catalyst for the price action of XRP in the future. He's articulated as much. And here's what he had to say to kind of put things in perspective. If it's any consolation, myself and many others went through something very similar to FTX back in 2011. MF Global, one of the largest futures brokerages in the world, run by superstar, in quotes, ex-Goldman CEO John Corzine, collapsed in a very similar manner to FTX. Brokerages must segregate customer and house funds. Corzine decided to take a $6.5 billion debt of EU government bonds, which went wrong. The issue was that he did it with customer money. Familiar? Losses were estimated at near $2 billion. All customer positions were frozen. It took about 7 years for us all to get 93% of our money back. If I remember rightly, we got the first 50% back pretty fast, which I was grateful for. It was my entire trading account. Many hedge funds and asset management firms got trapped too. It was a total disaster. But it wasn't the end of futures brokers or the future markets. Markets recovered quickly. MF Global soon disappeared from the headlines as yet another financial collapse in a history of so many over the last 100 years that we can't count. Humans/leverage/greed endlessly. Sadly, no one went to prison as Corzine had DC pretty much sewed up. And Rudy Havenstein is still pissed about it to this very day. We all are. Hopefully, all of you affected will get most of your money back as soon as possible, maybe all of it. I know how frightening it is and how angry you feel. I know it is no real help that many of us have been through the same, but maybe it's something. The crypto markets will move on, and sooner than you expect, most likely. They've already faced many such events, but this was the largest, as MF Global was in futures brokers. This was not a crypto story, but a story of traditional finance masquerading as something else. Exactly. So I thought that was some really good perspective, and it helps. This isn't the end of the world, and the people that, so we're all harmed in the world of crypto, that is true. The people that got it the worst are the people that had their investments in FTX and in FTX US. specifically, and then other companies that were directly associated as a result. So they're the ones that got it the worst. The rest of us were more on the peripheral, but we're taking in the chin too. That's for sure. Like I said, my net worth down substantially. That's a real thing, and same for you for listening to this. If you're in crypto, yours is down too, I'm sure. Right? So it's just interesting because if there is news of something else collapsing as a result of all this, it's the people within the organization that will be taking the brunt of it. They'll get the worst of it. And that's not us here. Presumably, fine, maybe somebody from that organization would be listening to my channel. But outside of that, it's not us, okay? So the price goes down. That's just a bunch of scared market participants, and then people copy the other people that are selling, and then it goes down. So it's okay to be excited about those people making a bet that you disagree with. That's perfectly reasonable. It doesn't mean you're happy that a human did a bad thing and harmed people that directly invested in FTX. That's totally different. But if we're talking about people that aren't even directly affected in terms of their funds aren't locked up, well, if they start panicking and they think that it's going to go down and it makes sense to sell, you're just disagreeing with them. It's okay to be opportunistic about that. You're looking out for yourself if you disagree. Now, I'm not telling you to go ahead and buy. If you think it makes more sense to sell and you're feeling panicky, you do what you want to do. I'm just telling you right now, I'm not going to. I'm not going to sell a damn thing. I'm going to continue to hold. In fact, I put out a poll, which I'll probably talk about tomorrow. It's still running right now on Twitter, asking if people increased or decreased their crypto holdings or if they just did nothing. It'll be interesting to see the results. But, sleep easy at night. Life will go on. Markets rebound. I think it's going to be fine, just generally speaking. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.